Tell us about your journey. Like, how did you start? Like, where did it all start?
Sure. Before I start, I'd love to say I'm a big fan of you as well, and I love your singing. I've been following your
Thank
stuff
you.
for a while. So it's a
Thank you,
pleasure to be talking.
Krishna.
And thank you for all the kind words. My process, only when you ask me questions like this, it even seems like a process. But my journey, I guess, started when I was a kid because I come from a musical family and I have a lot of classical and folk musicians
Mm-hmm.
in the family who a lot of different kinds of music, and it's only now that I'm sort of getting acclimatized to that kind of music. Whereas when
Okay.
I was in fourth or fifth standard, I wanted to play the guitar because I watched this movie called Back to the Future, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
scene where the Michael J. Fox plays the guitar and that, and then I just wanted to do that. அதுக்கப்புறம்
Okay.
I had a little bit of learning. I had a teacher who taught me a few chords, and then I took those and I started writing my own songs about all the problems a 15-year-old goes through back then. And
Man.
so since then, I've always had a fascination to sort of write my own music because it seemed so naturally the thing to do. It wasn't like a whole thought process as to we should create our own. It wasn't like that. It seemed
Right.
like the first, oh, I know all these chords. If I put them in a new combination and put lyrics about what is going on in my life, it becomes a song. And it felt like a very natural form of expression for me. And I never took myself seriously as a musician or anything. I actually want to be a filmmaker.
Mm.
And I worked with Arun Prabhu, who made Aruvi and Var as an assistant director
Oh,
right
wow.
after college. Whereas I used to always do music and all that stuff, but music was never a career sort of thing. It was just like a natural part of my life.
Mm.
But during the lockdown, I guess I participated in some like contests online and I released some music on Instagram and all that. And then I realized the whole thing about, oh, there's a music scene, there's a music thing happening, all that. And then from then it's just been a natural process to like where I'm at today, I guess. So I guess I hope that answers it.
Yeah, I think it does feel very natural, especially when you're just picking up something, you're full of curiosity, you're full of wonder, and then you like you rightly said, when somebody teaches you something, you're like a sponge, you like quickly
Yeah,
absorb everything that you can, and then you also want to immediately put it to use, right? I mean, what's the point in learning if you're not able to play with it, right? At the
absolutely.
end of the day, you do that.
Yeah.
So it's such an amazing thing to see how you so naturally, in spite of having a strong family, rooted in classical and folk music, because normally what happens is the family kind of starts directing you, telling you, what to do, and things like that. But in spite of that, they let you be, and you are able to freely explore that.
Yeah.
But I think the challenge, what about that phase when you suddenly realize that, okay, now I am, this is also going to be serious. Like, did you ever take yourself seriously at any point in time, and what was that feeling like? Because it's one thing to play and fool around and have fun for yourself.
Mm,
That's like a very sacred space, right?
mm.
You're your own boss, your own king. But then when once you move to this place of inviting other people to listen to your work and put it out there, what was that like? Because today you're like so successfully doing it.
Thank you. I think that's a very interesting question because that's one of the main decisions I made is that I'm never ever going to stop having fun with it in the sense that, yes, like I have some basic things like being on time, being respectful to the people around me who work with me, and paying them on time, and all these kind of basic things that I learned because when I was an AD, that used to be my job, and I used to learn a lot of that stuff. But then, for example, if I feel like I'm not a very like serious personality in the sense that I'm quite fun and I like to have fun, and I feel like that's the side of my music which also sort of um, resonates with people, if at all. And for example, even if it's like doing a show or doing a promo for a song that I'm releasing, or if it's doing like a Instagram live like this, I still like to have fun with it. Like I'm having a good time right now. But I'll make sure that, I come up on time. I don't give you more reasons to be irritated with me. I that side very serious and professional, where I'm clear with my work ethics. But I think you
Right.
really gotta, even with my mix engineer, for example, my next song, we've mixed it 9 times because it just wasn't there. Like I knew what I wanted and it wasn't there until like the ninth or 10th mix. But I take it one step at a time, and we make sure all 9 mixes we have fun with it.
Right.
So I think I hope I don't ever take it so seriously that I stop having fun with it.
So tell us about your. I know you've collaborated with so many people. I think. I mean, of course, I wanted to definitely speak about Rangaratinam, which was for Nakshatram Nagar Giradu. So, yeah, tell us about it. Like, how did that happen?
So uh, that was one time when I'd made like a couple of songs, and then I used to just send them out to everybody on Instagram who I would have maybe met one time somewhere or another time here or something. And Tenma and Offro were two guys I really liked what they do. Of course, I still love what they do, friends of mine
Yeah.
now. And like that, Chuma, I'd sent my music to Tenma. I was like, I've just released a song, please check it out and all that. And he was one of the few people who really took time, listened to it, and then gave me a long reply about what he liked, what he thought I could work on, everything. Like it was just, then we just started having a chat. Suddenly I got a call one day saying there's a song, why don't you come sing it? And I was like, cool. I think that was one of the first times that somebody called me to sing something, because usually I'll get calls to play guitars or like, do like some other kind of work. So I was like, cool. Then I went, and then initially I was really nervous because the key of the song was a little high. So I hadn't warmed up that day or anything. So hitting those notes were making me nervous. And then there were these people in the studio who know how to take all of that. And then that
Right.
way, that's why collaboration is so lovely, because I'm sure Tenma's dealt with that in different levels all his life. So he came, he had a really nice chat with me along with Karthik Manikavasagam, who was working with him at the time. And they really like sort of chilled me out and then told me the vibe of the song. They told me it needs to sound like a really happy song. And if you're nervous, it's really not going to help. And then I think the time where my nervousness broke and my voice opened up sort of blended in together. So after that, it was just a really fun session. And I think like from there, like half an hour, we finished the song, and then we were all so excited to listen back to it. And I think I'll really treasure that period, because for like almost like 3 months, Tenma would send me like different versions of the mix of the song just to like ask me what I think and all that.
Oh, wow.
And I would be the only listening back to them in my laptop, in my headphones, be like, I can't wait for this to come out. So every day I would like be wondering, like, it's like almost like you have like a little treasure that you have that you can't wait to show everybody. And when it came out, I honestly didn't know what to expect, because I'd never had a film release or anything before that. And then it came out, and suddenly, like, all my friends were messaging me. When I used to go out and meet people, they used to tell me they liked the song, and it was just a very unique experience. And I went for the first day of the movie with my whole family to hear my voice in the theater for the first time. Wow. So I think looking back, maybe even 10 years from now, I'll always look back at that as a very like cherished memory of mine, and I'm always grateful to Tenma and Ranjith sir and the other Ranjith sir and
Okay.
the whole team behind that.
And I'm sure. See, my next question, when you were telling me the story, the other question that I also have, and I constantly find this. A lot of people also ask me this question, so I also want to ask you and understand your process. Is that factor where you like need to switch, right? You need to switch from one mode to another. It's one thing when you are traveling with your own lyrics and you're singing it every day, you're composing, you know so much more about the song. You know the song from its source when you are writing it and you are composing it and you are singing it. There's so much more connection, like so personal. But when you go out there and sing somebody else's song, it's and you need to do this in a limited time. Like it's not like they just let you record every day for 1 week or something like that and just pick the best. It's not a possibility.
Yeah.
So how, like, this very story when you were saying, like, some kind of nervousness, which comes in, which is where your mind comes and takes over, and it's like playing all kinds of tricks on you,
Correct.
and then you're like, and you don't even sometimes understand why, like, why am I so nervous? What am I so nervous about? But there's no real answer to that, but you just know that something is not working. And then, like you rightly said, a little chat here, just go freshen up your mind, just walk outside, come back in, and you're like and your voice opens up, your mind opens up, more importantly, and like you're breezing through this whole process that you've been struggling with, for such a long time.
Yeah.
So so what is that? I mean, I'm sure even for concerts that's the case, because you're it's one thing when you step, you're waiting for your turn, and then you step in, and then you take your guitar, and then that's the moment, right? It's now or never, right?
Correct.
And how do you deal with that, or how do you tackle
Okay.
that?
If you give my answer, then I'd love to hear yours because you've done this for
Sure.
much longer. And so basically, I guess that what you say about transporting yourself into something else, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's a singular process, whether you do it for your music or somebody else's music. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that how easily you're able to tap into it and go inside it changes. So I used to be
Right.
really cool, like very bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like my marks to be like the stuff of legend to make sure other students don't study that badly. So, but I used to escape from all that. I used to just sort of be transported out of all that when I came back home and I started playing guitar. So I started playing guitar and I used to hold it and I used to put my ears into the wood and I used to hear the sound, and that used to just take me into a different world. And it's almost as if, like, if there's a small fire and you put your hand over it, you immediately feel warm and you're transported into the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I think sound
Wow.
as element has that power, so that just transports you. And
Right.
so far with working with other composers, it's always about the lyric for me, in terms of what is the lyric trying to say and how can I convince the person listening to the song that I truly believe these lyrics, and I'm basically telling the story of these lyrics as my story. So
Mm.
so my idea is, when they hear the song, they shouldn't hear the music, they shouldn't hear my voice, they shouldn't hear anything. They should listen to my story through the lyrics. And if
Yeah.
that happens, I feel like you basically have transported them into the world that actually you don't, but the filmmaker and the composer and the lyricist want, and you're just a medium for that. And I
Right.
still haven't, I'm still slowly figuring out my way. I've done like 4 or 5 songs now, and I'm
Mm.
slowly get into the skin of that. But
Right.
I'd love to know how your process is with that as well.
I mean, my process has been, I mean, I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, and then my process have always, I mean, I've always deployed different techniques for different situations, you know. But I would like to tell you what my most favorite, or rather the most popular, the most
Okay.
simplest thing that works for me is like a little prayer that I say in my head. That moment of uh, where you say something and you just surrender to the larger entity that I, in a sense, believe is out there, doing everything. Like, I think one of your song does say it, that it is what it is. You cannot. There's nothing more to it. It's nothing more or nothing less. It is what it is. And sometimes to even realize that, so that basically for me, uh, realizing the presence of that entity in my head for a little while, for me, brings me to a space where uh, it's very easy for me to just focus on what I'm doing, like you
Mhm.
rightly said. Then it's just the lyric of the song or the tune of the song. That's all there is, in my space. All the chatter and all the noise, I don't know, for some reason, just fades out, but yeah, but sometimes even that attempt sometimes is challenging. There have been times when it's had its own little trick. But yeah, I think staying grounded and understanding, the staying rooted is definitely very useful. um it kind of keeps me calm, like that. Yeah. So, um, tell us. I want to know a little more about your writing. Like, what do you have your own, like, concepts concepts? Do you come up with those concepts, or it's just something that you observe? Like, how do you pick, like, uh, um,
So, it actually depends. I do have like a WhatsApp group with myself where
mm,
anytime I look at something or I see something that would be interesting, I sort of write it down as a cool idea for a reel. I mean, for a song or a reel or something like that.
mhm,
But most of the time, what happens is I write the music first. So then I see what the music is saying, like what kind of words would suit that. And I'm actually like a super accidental lyricist in the sense that I used to make tunes and songs, but they would feel almost like naked without any words. It would sound
mm,
so unstructured without words. So I
mm.
just decided, okay, until I find somebody who will write lyrics for me, I'll just write them. And I just never stopped doing that. So yeah, so it is a lot of times it's like ideas and it's things that I see that I really think should be written about. So,
Right. So it's nice to know that. So tell me, in your journey, like, have you ever felt like, oh, the need, there was a need, or there is a need to technically, like, go out there and learn things properly, or have you ever felt the need for it, or do you think it's more important to actually not be stuck to some one particular idea and just go out there and explore and play around,
hmm.
and what
That's
is
a
your experience been?
good time. The main time I felt that need is right now, where I've sort of hit a roadblock in terms of my skill set, where I've come this far, but I have no idea how to jump to the next level. So I
Mm,
feel like I need a catalyst, like how I had a catalyst in the beginning, I had a catalyst in
mm,
the middle. Like now, also, I need somebody to push me over the edge to the next part.
mhm,
But I will say that as a person, I'm not very good at being in institutions or being in any kind of structured learning because I'm just very chaotic in my mind as a person.
mm,
Like, for example,
mm.
I started learning the flute because I was bored. I've been playing
Mm.
like 6 hours every day for the last 2 weeks, and then I'll
Wow.
probably play for the next week. You know, that's how I'm like either all in or nothing. Like, I'm very intense about the way I learn.
Mm,
So
mm,
right now, I feel like I would love to have somebody coach me in terms of some voice and some music production stuff and all
mm,
that.
mm,
I also find that doing it yourself, cracking it yourself, and just spending time with it and figuring it out, even if it makes no sense, and even it sort of gives you a new perspective on things, and it sort of lets you find your own sound.
mm,
And it's sort of a deeper way of learning in the sense that I know it beyond the paper that I'm learning from. I know it beyond the way it's taught to me.
mm,
I know it in my
mm.
bones because I figured it out. And there's a sense of
Right,
you go and you figure out something on your own that is like an addiction that I would never want to let go of.
right.
But I think you can't keep that mentality forever. You do need teachers, you do need people to show you the way sometimes.
Right.
And as I'm growing up, I'm finding the need for these things, and hopefully, I'll find the right people.
Nice. So that's something that we also emphasize in our when we try and share. I mean, this, of course, we have a course called PaatuClass. Of course, it's just a sharing of whatever I've learned, whatever I've gathered through my journey.
Mm.
And one thing that we always tell our learners is that it's very important to be skeptical. Skepticism is good because it's not like I'm telling you, I'm the ultimate authority here, telling you what is right and what is wrong. No, these are just things that has worked for me, that has helped me in one way or the other, and you need to look at it with an open mind and just play with it. I mean, go ahead, and like you rightly said, the one advantage that you have when you are not believing or just confining yourself to one particular system of learning is that you know it yourself because you have experienced it, and you know it's not just something that you're just doing because your guru just told you to do it. It's not like some faith or some blind faith or some blind trust that you have in your guru. It's more like, okay, this is, I've tried it and it's worked for me, and I think that is really complete learning. That's where you completely, you have understood it, in the real sense.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's just like you said, it's just like uh, copy paste. It doesn't mean much.
Mm.
But I love that. I think you are innately an explorer in that sense. I think you have that quality, and I think today learning is no big deal because there are so many ways to learn. Like
Yeah,
all that you need to do is just ask a question. If you ask the right
true.
questions, if you're asking the right questions, the answer is always out there, you know. And with your kind of curiosity and wonder and the hunger that I can see in you, I think, I mean, it's just a matter of time. You can just quickly get it, you know. That's cool. So lovely. I mean, it's lovely to hear. You just casually mentioned it, but you have like movies in the pipeline. You're working on composing music for movies, right? Am I
Yeah,
right? Okay. Okay. So how's that experience now? Because of course, from coming from an independent space where you are your own director, your own story writer. I mean, you do everything now. You have somebody who's setting those parameters for you,
absolutely.
and how's that? How is it working inside that little?
So, again, like I said, I was an assistant director for 3 years before.
Right.
So I had a full like crash course on how this whole thing works.
Okay.
And the music director of the film I was AD of was Pradeep Kumar. So I
Mm,
also got to spend a lot of time with him and worked on music also. So and
right.
work with a lot of other composers who are friends of mine in their
Mm,
background, stuff like that. So I had a very like basic, clear picture of what it usually entails.
right.
And but the interesting thing is that the opportunity came through my independent
Mm,
music, where they heard a song of mine,
mm,
and they emailed me
right.
to share the script and all that stuff.
Right.
So, and the director of the film, Anand Annamalai, is a very open-minded guy, and he has very interesting ideas. And he also he's sort of written the music into the film in a very like integral way. So there's a lot of scope for music, which was
Right.
very fascinating. And I think it's a I think it's the next challenge. You know, like how I said, I'm looking for something to push me over into the next stage, the next edge. I feel like
Mm,
something challenging like this sometimes does that, and maybe by the end of it, I would have realized, oh, okay, I've moved on a little bit from the space I was in before. So that's
right.
all fascinating, and always like composing for a visual medium is very fascinating. And like I used to like how I said I have some songwriting practices and exercises. Sometimes I used to
Mm-hmm.
take paintings, like I used to Google paintings that I like, and then I'd look
Mm-hmm.
at the painting and sort of imagine what a song inside this painting would sound like. Like, what is
Right.
the song that's inside the world of this painting? So now doing that for actual moving images is a lot more
Yeah.
fun, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's fun, and I get to work with a lot of different artists who I might not get to work with
Mm,
in general. For
mm,
example, I recorded Saindavi ma'am
right.
for a couple of songs
Wow.
uh, back. So I don't know if I could have done that if I was doing an independent
Mm-hmm.
release at this time.
Right.
It always brings in a new like challenge and a new approach and
Right.
a new. So I'm looking forward to it. So yeah.
Nice. So yeah, lovely. So tell us about the Miss Marvel soundtrack that you've been a part of. This is something that we researched and found out.
Okay.
So
So I have a cousin who's a musician who lives in the US. Her name's Ganavia. We actually have a collaboration album we did in New York that'll come out hopefully soon.
wow.
And he gave me a call suddenly and said, "There's some project that we need to. Are you interested?" Like we had like a 3 hour window within which we were supposed to submit the files to them.
Mm,
And I'm usually one to always take up these kind of challenges. I was like, yeah, sure, why not?
yeah.
And they sent me like files of different scores that we had to replicate
Right.
with instruments we had of Indian origin.
Right.
And I love the harmonium, and so I played the harmonium for that, and I sent it. Then I realized it was for the Marvel show, Miss Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
and I hadn't even realized the show came out, and I was. Actually, I just randomly walked into my sister's room as most brothers do, and she was
Mm-hmm.
watching a show. What show is that? And she was like, "It's Miss Marvel." And then I said, "Oh, I've actually worked on that." And then she just gave me the look of the most like disappointment, like you can't even try to like pull a good prank. And then I made a pause, rolled to the credits, and I showed her my name, and then like a month.
Wow.
So it was cool. actually a very short and smooth process, and it was very cool working on it. Yeah.
Nice. That's nice.
Krishna,
Yeah.
but I have to say this. We're of course working with like so many artists, and one thing that I see is a lot of the artists that I meet don't understand the concept of time. You know what I mean? And what I loved about you
Okay,
was how prompt you
that's for
were.
me.
No, no, Ranjit's come a long way, you know. But when we were friends, Ranjit
Thank
and
you.
I, like we've been friends for a very long time before we ventured out and started the Pallikudam. And Ranjit doesn't understand, like time is a concept that he's
Mm,
yet to grasp, you know what I mean? We're
okay.
working our way. But this is not to speak about Ranjit, but like a lot of artists are like that. I think it's a creative thing, I think. But I
To
love how
stop
prompt
right
you are.
there, I say I'm the worst at keeping time in my personal life. Like my friends will call me at 7 o'clock. I'll reach at 8, and actually the meeting will be, and they would told me it's 1 hour earlier because they know I'll come late. But for me, I'm an artist, I'm a professional, there are other people depending on me for something.
Mm,
It's like, I guess I get it from my dad. I have to be
mm,
respectful to their time. And mainly, the main factor I have to tell you is that I don't have any backup plans. I didn't study CA. I don't have engineering in the back of my thing.
okay,
Come from a very family where if this goes wrong, I'll be fine. There's nothing like that. So I need this music thing to work, and I couldn't give people more reasons to stop working with me, like being on
nice.
time and all. The only reason. So
But
Ranjit, I'm with.
you're doing a great job. You're so prompt in your responses on Instagram. You're so prompt with your posts and everything. Like it was very, I told you on the text itself, and I just thought it's great to put it out here. But I have a question about what you just said, given that you don't have that kind of family backing, like you said. And I think you're known more as an independent artist than anything else. You know, I think you've done this for much longer than, please correct me if I'm wrong, than you've done anything else in the space of music. How did you sustain it? It's not an easy journey to make. Like, how did you sustain it, and how can it be sustainable for other people who are on this journey as well?
Okay. So to answer that, I'll answer in two parts, both very truthful. I'm 24 years old. I still live with my parents, and I just finished college maybe a couple of years back. And I've been an independent artist for maybe 3 to 4 years. So it's not a very long journey by any means. It's just that I make a lot of noise in this little time I'm here that irritates some people, is liked by some people. So it just feels like, இத்தனை நாளா இருக்கான் அப்படின்னு. The second thing, I do all kinds of different work. Being an independent artist is what you see on Instagram because that's the part of you I want you to see. So everything you see on Instagram or what I put out for the world is exactly what I want you to see. Whereas I do music for ads, jingles, I do song. I mean, I sing for other composers. I play guitars for other composers. I do session work. I work on background score. I sometimes compose for short films. I'm doing my first feature film this year, and I do live shows. I do literally everything I have in my skill set that could get me a job. I do all of that because I got to pay bills too. And it's not necessary for you to see all those things and confuse your image of me. I just want you to see me as that guy who writes songs that you might resonate with. So that's exactly what I show you. So that's how
Nice.
I keep it sustained. Like I find a lot of artists where if they say, like, this is a personal opinion, if they say, oh, I want to be a serious songwriter, I want to release music, I want to be the coolest artist, that's amazing, that's superb. But I feel you shouldn't limit yourself to doing just that. Like, I might suddenly tomorrow get like a singer who has like a song that's out of my sort of palette, but I have the skill set to probably help her produce that or play guitars for that or do like an arrangement for that. I would totally do that because that's work. So I
Nice.
think you should take work as one thing and your artistic journey is another. What you do is your thing. But work and being a professional in the field is important. And more than anything, I feel like that sort of like mirage of being a star and, oh, people in the crowd are like shouting my name and singing my songs back to me. That's all great. That's going to happen if you work hard towards it. But finally, when you come back home, there's got to be like electricity and Wi-Fi and all running in for different things. So to answer your question, you have to do different jobs, and I think you've got to equip yourself with skills that are very useful in the job, like learning music production, learning how to record yourself, learning how to work inside a studio, learning to network. All those things are important. So that's how I sustain it, and so far so good.
Nice.
Could you give us a few lines of Paati Un Valkayila? Like a lot of people have been asking it, and it's personally a song that I absolutely love.
Thank you. Can you hear my guitar?
Yeah.
பாட்டி உன் வாழ்க்கையில எவனோ தோசை சுட்டு இருப்பேன், ஒரு நாளைக்கு 10ன்னு பார்த்தா ஒரு வாழ்க்கைக்கு எத்தனை, ஒரு நாள் இன்னும் ஒண்ணு கேட்பேன், மறுநாள் இன்னும் 6, மாவுக்கு அளவிருக்கு அன்புக்கு இருக்கா.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, it does
Like,
work.
how did you write Paati Un Valkayila? Like a song like that? How did you go with that?
So I basically started that whole series as a writing exercise during the lockdown, because for practice and all that stuff. When I was a kid, I was on my 14th or 15th dosa after playing cricket at school or something like that. And then there was one small feeling of compassion and pity for my grandmother who was eating all these dosas. And then I think I was 12 or 13. I asked her, how many dosas do you think you would have made in your life? Because if I ate 15, my dad, my uncles, my aunts, everybody together, we'd be eating probably 500 a week. So if you calculate that times 80 years of what she's been doing, it's possible to do the math. But it is possible to write a song about it. So that's why I did it.
Krishna, to write the song is at 12. Like,
I didn't
how
write.
reflective.
I asked the question at 12 years old. It's
Okay.
a story in the family that I asked her this ridiculous question. Those are she's like, you know what? If I can ask a question, I can write a song. So I just did.
Right. So Krishna, so is it right to say that you're mostly self-taught? If I
Yeah.
yeah.
To,
But
sorry, go ahead.
No, you were saying.
So I have had very important teachers at important junctures where they've taught me the basics, but that's probably only lasted for about a month or two.
Okay.
So to save their name, I'd rather say I'm self-taught. Yeah.
How does it feel? It has more than 1 million views. It's such a popular song today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to have the numbers. It looks great on my Spotify Wrapped for the year. But more than that, it's nice when people. For me, I find it most fascinating in what circumstances people listen to their song, listen to these songs in. So in the Spotify for Artists app, you can go and you can see what playlists your songs have been added to. And then I just do that for fun. And I saw that somebody had added Rangaratnam to a playlist called For My Tamil Wife. And I was like, that's so sweet. Wife and put this dog in it. So those are the real moments that you can actually quantifiably cherish, more than saying 1 million streams or anything. So that way it's a one song that's reached so many people. So I'm always happy about it.
It's both, Krishna.
Yeah.
Ranjith, I have a question for you. Krishna was speaking earlier about singing the song is his own story, right? Is it possible to always do that when you sing for a composer?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If there is no other distraction, if you're not really trying to do much, and if you are in sync with what is there, because sometimes there is a lot of attempts, like you are in a place where you're like, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and all of that just feels like you are trying to put or rather paint a picture of something or somebody that you are really not. It's like, so I feel that kind of creates like a duality, and then there's a little kind of push and pull there, and that happens. But when you when you are when that stops, and then I think the only thing that exists that is in your existence is just the song, the people, the lyrics, the whatever is there in that moment. I think when you are aligned to that, then like Krishna, like he said, it opens up your mind, and it also opens up your voice. It has a physical manifestation, and it's amazing to see that sometimes, like you'll be struggling to sing one note for such a long time, but instantly when your mind opens up, your voice opens up, you listen, you hear something else, you breathe, you feel like so much at ease, so much at comfort, and doing the same things that you've been trying to, or you've been struggling with. So yeah, and I think walking for me, the biggest high when you get on stage is the crowd. I just absorb their energy, especially when you're doing concerts with somebody like a Yuvan Shankar Raja, or one of those people are out there like just waiting for that drop of music, for them to like celebrate. And then you walk into that kind of a crowd. You don't need anything. You just look into their eyes, and they'll give you everything that you need to like be there. They'll give you every reason to forget everything else that you walked in onto that stage with. It kind of everything just vanishes. Yeah.
That was amazing, man. I feel lucky to
Krishna, I'm very curious to know, do you have a vocal practice, given that you claim to be self-taught? Do you have like some kind of a vocal practice that you do to keep your vocal cords in good health?
That's an excellent question, and one that instills guilt in me, because I have an app that gives me reminders of, did you sing today? Did you do your exercise today? Did you play it? Like, I have that, and I've missed my streak for quite a bit. But then I do this cheeky thing where if I know I have a recording in a week, I'll practice heavily for that whole week leading up to it. So no, I don't have a regular vocal routine, but the nature of what I do is such that I end up singing almost every day anyway. Like, I'm probably recording something, or I'm trying to write a new song that I have to sing for. So invariably I end up singing regularly, but it's never structured. That's what I meant when I said maybe this is somebody I need right now to help me sort of go into the next. But I did take like classical training from my father, who's also a classical musician, and I've been training in classical music for some time. And those like basics are amazing. Like, if you do those basics, I feel like you're sorted in a lot of ways. So I do that sometimes. And during the lockdown, I had quite a bit of practice spell where, like, I was like, I cannot sound like this anymore. So I practiced to sound a little better. And I feel like that's keeping like that fuel is still keeping my like engine going till now. But yeah, but thank you. I'll take this as another reminder to have a daily.
I love your approach. I don't know if it's your approach to life, but I definitely love your approach to your music. I love
Thanks. Or maybe
that you're right there.
approach to my Instagram lives.
Krishna, I have one last question for you before you go. And I love that. I love everything that you're saying, like I'm saying, your approach to your music is very bang on. You're like, I got to get this right. That's your approach to music. It's like what you said earlier, no fallback option accepted, and not like one is there either. So like, what would you say to like artists who want to make it in this space? Like, is there a rule book that you follow that could help them with their process as well, or their approach to the art?
um, I'm going to answer your question a little differently because I don't think I've made it yet. I've definitely not made it where I
But you're
want to get.
hustling so much. I love that.
I was going to say,
You're,
I'll do what I think has worked for me so far, and if they want to use it, it's their free will. Um, I think the most important thing is, like, if you're doing something, do it right. That's the only like basic thing I have. It's like a very like don't half-ass anything sort of approach where even if I'm doing like one like vocal backing harmony, or if I'm doing like an ad lib for the take, I still try to make sure I'm doing that really well. And it's like taking every challenge into the smallest unit possible. Like, right now I'm doing this Instagram live. I want to do this to the best of my abilities. I feel like if you do that for everything finally it all like collates into something that is of at least passable quality, if I can put it that way. I feel like
Right.
you shouldn't half-ass, and this is something I'm learning the hard way. But you shouldn't be in a hurry to do anything. You know, like when I started out, this is the biggest like thing I'd say to break this sort of image. Like this was when I was very naive and like very young, and probably when I was 18, 19. It's like, yeah, of course, I have so much talent. I can sing so well. Obviously, everybody's going to come looking for me. I'm going to become a superstar right after school. Everything's going to fall into place immediately. This is all going to be amazing. And then cut to none of that happened. And then you realize, oh, so everybody know who's somebody who's made of themselves have actually really worked hard, and you don't see the behind their life as to what and all they did to get there. So it's like you just see highlight reel and you're so enamored by that you think your life's going to be a highlight reel. Oh, I get out, I'm going to do this, my song's going to release 10 million views, big hit for 50,000 people in the packed stadium, superstar. It just doesn't work like that, is what I realized when I was 20 or something. And then I was like, oh, damn. So I really got to do this myself. There's nobody who's going to come give it to me in a silver platter like here, take your superstar. So that's the one image that I'd like to possibly help other artists break, which is if you want something, you have to like sort of do the steps to get there. You know, so that's the hard part of what I'm realizing in terms of not being in a hurry. And the nice part, which is that you get to do it. Not everybody gets to do it. So if you're getting to do it, that itself is fun. And it's like this. I'd rather be struggling in music and trying to make this work and survive here than I'd be in any other job. So I might as well do this. So kind of like that. So that's the one thing I'd say to all artists, and is to be humble. You know, it's like even if you become the biggest artist, you're still like you're just you. You know, like that's the big realization I had.
Yeah.
I love your awareness and introspection. I know age is just a number. I don't relate to it at all. But you must have invested a lot of time looking within to arrive at these places that you have, and that's such a wonderful thing. And thank you for sharing it
Yeah.
with us. Yeah.
Pleasure.
Ranjit, could you sing a
Awesome.
few lines of your Krishna song this Janmashtami, please?
Oh, okay.
Do you
All
remember
right,
the
sure.
lyrics? Ranjit has trouble
Uh,
remembering lyrics.
yeah, I have trouble remembering lyrics. Lyrics
You
is
and I
not
both.
my strength. Okay, just a few lines. Okay. எதிலும் உன்னையே காண்கிறேன் கிருஷ்ணா எதிலும் உன்னையே காண்கிறேன். That's all I remember. I'm sorry.
You said few lines. I was waiting for more.
I thought my phone hung longer.
Yeah. To listen to the entire song, please check out YouTube where
So
the
this is
entire
an
songs are
original
there.
song that he put out sometime last
Yeah.
year, I think, where he collaborated with somebody, and it's a very, very beautiful song. Yeah.
So and
So Ranjit,
what?
why don't we do it this way? Why don't you sing a song to which you remember
Okay.
the lyrics? Let's do
Yeah.
it this
Oh,
way. Yeah.
okay. Sure. So sure, why not? That's a better way to do it. Okay, we can try this. This is a song that I sang for the movie Dhiran. Okay, it's a fun song. Again, it comes from an independent space. This song was originally done by Gibran and me when we were part of a band back in college.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and this came out in the movie much later because yeah, it just happened to come. But it was very exciting. After so many years, I was getting to do a song that I kind of worked with Gibran, and it was good fun. So now I think it's a great moment to share that. செவத்த புள்ள மனசுக்குள்ள நானும் இருப்பேனா அடி அண்டி புள்ள ஒன்ன நினைச்சா உறங்க நினைப்பேனா ஏ கண்டாங்கி சேல காத்துல பறந்தா மூச்ச மறைக்குது மனச பறிக்குது கண்டாங்கி சேல காத்துல பறந்தா மூச்ச மறைக்குது மனச பறிக்குது ஓதட்டோர மிச்சத்துல ஏன் உசுர கொடுத்தேண்டி ஓதட்டோர மிச்சத்துல ஏன் மனச கொடுத்தேண்டி ஏன் உசுருங்கொடுத்தேண்டி செவத்த புள்ள மனசுக்குள்ள நானும் இருப்பேன்னா அடி அண்டி புள்ள ஒன்ன நினைச்சா ஓரங்க நினைப்பேன்னா ஏ yeah, so thank you, Krishna. It's such an amazing time we had today. It was like honestly, very honestly, I would like to tell you that it's really amazing and mind blowing to listen to some of the insights that you've had at such a young age. So I can only imagine. There are so many times in my life where there were different points, where I would pause and I would tell myself, I just wish I knew this like 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I would have done so much more in that time. And simple things that like you rightly said, like some simple advices that would come from your father or
Mm.
from your teacher or for somebody, but we just for some reason you just brush them away because that just at that time and at that moment in time it feels irrelevant. Somehow you feel like you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You're just full of yourself. And then much later, like 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, like you said, you go through so much and then you realize, man, they were so right. I just wish I had this realization. So I'm feeling so, it really feels so good to know that you have so many insights and so much of maturity, in the way you think, in the way you do things. So such a pleasure talking to you, Krishna.
Like,
And I'm wishing you all the very best. I'm taking this opportunity to wish you all the very best with the movies, with every album. I'm going to be really looking forward to every release that's coming, from your space. Uh, and I must say, I really love, especially the Rangaratanam song, because you told me about your nervousness and all that. The first thing when I heard the song, the first thing that came to my mind is, oh, how easy, like the ease is the first thing that caught my attention. I'm like, oh, Krishna is singing with so much ease.
Can we hear
And
a few lines, Krishna?
sure.
Ranjith,
Thank
will you please
you. And
continue once we...
yeah, sure,
yeah, I
sure.
pleasure talking to you as well. I remember we've met, but we never had a chance to interact in this much detail, and it's been lovely talking to you guys. My hands are really cold from the AC. ஆகாசம் வாகாக்கும் மண்ணுக்கிளியே ஏகாந்த ஏவாழோ வண்ணக்கிளியே மீனாவின் மீனாயின் கிளியே மைனாக்கள் கை கோக்கும் அந்த கிளியே அனுபவி 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 காற்றோடு சிறகடி 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 கூத்தாடி மறுபடி 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 சுத்தி வந்து மேல கீழே காட்டுரங்கராட்டி நன்ன வாழ்க்கை இன்ப வரமடி 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 வர 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 நிறமடி 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 நிறமதி என மிளிரடி 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 உலகம் இங்கு சமமடி 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 யாவுமே.
Lovely.
Wow, Krishna, even on an Insta live, you sound so good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Super.
Thank you, Krishna. Thank you so much for sharing all of those very, very deep insights.
Thank
I'm not
you.
going to settle back to 8, but very reflective, and I love the awareness that you brought to your craft. Thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Thank you so much.
I'm sure so many more people will benefit from it. But that being said, we're rooting for you. We're excited to see whatever it is that you're going to be putting out. We're really looking forward to listening to you. You already have a few fans here. Now you can go build on the rest.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. It's been lovely chatting with you guys, and thank you to everybody who joined. I think there were a few comments that we missed, but I hope we'll see you soon.
I took it up. I took up whatever request came in. Yeah.
Super.
All right.